Hi everyone, welcome back to the program. It is now 8:05 in the a.m., which is leading us into our second discussion of the morning, and it's about exercise. Now, weightlifting exercises have plenty of benefits. This includes helping us build muscles as well as boosting our confidence. However, if you're a beginner, these exercises may appear daunting, especially if you're just starting out. So, beginners may be wondering what are some of the best weight training tips for them and what sort of preparations or equipment are needed. And to answer some of these questions, we have joining us this morning fitness educator and sport nutritionist, Dr. Nicolas Suhendra. Good morning.
Good morning.
Nick, thank you for joining us here today. By the way, I'm familiar with Nick from your dad and from your Instagram.
Right.
Plenty of great content out of there as well. You guys can find it at SteadfastNick. So welcome and thank you for joining us this morning.
Right.
First of all, what's the first thing that one should know? Because we're talking about beginners here, people
Right.
who are just interested in getting started out. What are some of the first things they should know about weightlifting before getting started?
First thing first, you need to pay attention to technique.
Okay.
Because basically technique is like as if you're trying to learn to drive a car.
Okay.
So it's very crucial because if you don't know how to drive a car, you might crash.
Right.
So basically proper technique should be the foundation of it. And once you get the proper technique, you need to learn how to control the tempo.
Okay.
So every movement, let's say for example squats, you start from the top, you go down, and then you reach the bottom position, and then you go up, right? So every exercise has 4 stages.
Okay.
The go down, we call it the eccentric.
Yeah.
And then at the bottom, we usually need to stop first, and then we go up. We call it concentric, and then we stop at the top. So basically, every stages there's a count for it. You can do it for a 1 second drop, 2 second drop. So for my experience, I think it would be better for beginners to learn how to slow down the tempo for a bit.
Okay.
So for a squat, I think 2 seconds down, 2 seconds pause at the bottom, 2 seconds up, and that's it.
Okay, so and that pace should be maintained throughout the entire set?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be in regards to their pace and their form. What about the actual weight itself? How does one know what they're capable of and where they should start?
Right. From the very beginning, these people probably don't know, right? So we use the technique and the tempo as a variable.
Okay.
So you need to maintain the technique and the tempo for the whole reps. Let's say we're doing 3 sets of 10 reps. So you need to be able to maintain the technique for the whole 30 reps.
And when you say technique, so not like fidgeting,
No.
and then keeping that same form, keeping that same timing.
Same form, same technique, same tempo, same pace. And if you can do that and you can reach those specific numbers, then you can aid. Then you can add weights.
Okay.
So this is what we call a single progression.
Okay.
So you keep increasing the weights every session. So let's say you're doing a squats, 3 sets of 10 with body weights, and you're doing it perfectly fine. There's no pain, there's no breakdown, any technical breakdown. So the next session, you add more weights.
Okay.
You add just the smallest increments, like 2 kilos.
Okay.
And then you try to do the same thing. And if you can reach the same number, 3 sets of 10 reps with 2 kilos, that means you're good. The next one, you do increase it again.
Okay.
So that's very, very basic.
Okay. So when it comes to training your body parts, there are plenty of them.
Right.
Guys tend to gravitate, they like to work out their upper bodies,
Right,
but
right.
legs are just as important.
Yes.
And how do you know what parts to train and how much you should divide your time throughout your workout? Let's say you go to the gym like 4 or 5 times a week.
Right.
I'm very gung-ho here, but where should I be training and how often should I be training each of those?
Usually I ask the clients, how many times per week can you commit to the gym?
Okay.
Let's say you have 3 times per week, 4 times per week, 5 times per week, 6 times per week. So every workout split will be different, depends on your availability. So let's say if you're training 3 times a week, I think it would be better for you to do a full body training.
Okay.
So every time you go to the gym, you might do 1 push movement pattern, like a push-up maybe, and then one pull pattern, 1 pull like a pull down or a pull-ups, a squat movement pattern, and a hinging deadlift kind of movement pattern. So, so you repeat that 3 times a week. But if you're doing it 4 times a week, you can do upper-lower split. So 1 upper, 1 lower, and then a day off, 1 upper, 1 lower, and another day off.
Okay.
So if you're doing 5 times a week, you can do a push-pull leg, off, upper lower, or you can mix it up.
Okay. So if you do more days, the more frequency you visit the gym, the more options you have of splitting it up.
Exactly.
When it comes to training frequency then, is there such a thing? Because you hear the term overtraining sometimes. Like when you're very excited and the beginner likes to go to the gym, hey, I want to lose weight, I want to gain muscle, but then they tend to overdo it. Some people get injured, or they burn themselves out. How much is overtraining?
To be honest, for general people, for beginner, they won't reach overtraining.
Okay.
But most of them are under recovery.
Okay, how do you mean? What is needed for recovery?
So what is needed for recovery is 1, your sleep.
Okay.
What time do you go to sleep? What time do you go to bed? That's 1. 2 is that your nutrition. Are you eating enough? Because most people that goes to the gym are usually the one that have excess fat, right? So the moment they start lifting, they need to, I need to cut my food.
Right.
I need to clean up my food.
That's the mindset usually, right?
That's the mindset.
Yeah.
Is it wrong? Not really. But the thing is, you can eat too little. Because if you eat too little, the thing is that you won't have energy and you cannot recover well.
Right.
Because here's the thing, with, what is it that you're saying? Overtraining, right?
Yes.
It usually happens with the athletes.
Okay.
Because basically they can train 3 times a week.
Multiple sessions a day.
3 times a day.
Yes, multiple sessions.
And almost every day. Now that's what I call overtraining.
Okay.
But with the common people, usually they're just under recovery, under eating, and that's it.
Undernourishment,
Yeah,
right?
undernourishment.
Because we don't count that when we go to the more often we exercise, the more calories we're burning for that week. And then are we replacing those calories? Cutting calories doesn't mean we cut them completely, but replacing them with better ones perhaps would be a better option.
But the thing is, if you work out just to burn calories, that's not the right mindset.
Okay.
Because if you're training in the gym, the mindset is to add muscle.
Right.
Because if you have more muscle, your life basically becomes a lot easier.
Right.
It's a hack of life.
Yes.
So yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the differences between, you used to power lift as well.
I did powerlifting for 2011 until 2018. Okay. I also did a year or 2 about CrossFit.
Okay.
But still just an entry level of CrossFit.
Okay.
Not those guys would compete now.
Right.
I also did 1 or 2 years Olympic weightlifting.
Oh, okay.
And I also did some kind of bodybuilding style of training. So I have tried, all kinds.
So let's talk about the 3 that involve some of the equipment that we're going to go over a little bit later. Powerlifting, weightlifting, and Olympic.
So powerlifting, Olympic weightlifting, and just bodybuilding.
Okay. So can you explain the difference with the training when it comes to these 3? Because most beginners can't really tell the difference.
Yeah. So here's the thing, the most common thing will be a bodybuilding training.
Okay.
Because it usually involves a higher repetition.
Like you mentioned, the 3 sets of 10.
Yeah.
That would be considered.
That will be a general bodybuilding training, because most people are like, I want to go to gym because I want to look good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like, there's kind of like a downgrade of a bodybuilding competition, right?
Right.
So yeah. So the main purpose of that training is to build more muscle mass, to add aesthetics, to reduce your body fat and look good on the beach.
Okay.
And then with the powerlifting is that you want to lift the heaviest weight possible for 1 rep in these 3 specific movements: the squat, the bench press, and the deadlift.
Okay.
Right. With the Olympic weightlifting, it is the same approach with powerlifting. It's just different movement. The clean, the one from the bottom, and then you go to
the double movement.
Yeah, the double movement, and then you jerk it up. Okay. And then the snatch from the bottom straight
up. Okay.
Above. So that's the Olympic. So yeah, it's just different movements.
So the most common that we would be aware of is then just regular weightlifting. Most of what we were familiar with at the gym. Now, you happen to, by the way, thank you for bringing some of your equipment in. We know that's definitely not light to bring in, but let's take our conversation over there.
Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about some of the more common exercises that beginners need to do. Because you mentioned, like, I know for one that I was told by many people, deadlifting is very important.
Right.
Squats is important. And why those 2 in particular? Because A, they're compound movements, and compound movements mean there are two or more joints working at the same time.
Right.
And I cannot think of exercises more than those two that I mentioned that have more joints working. Like when you do a deadlift or a squat, so many joints are working in one movement. So could you take us through one of them just to show us the proper way to do it, the proper way to put on the weight, and the proper way to get started?
All right, so for beginners, I will say squat and deadlifts.
Okay.
They will be the staple for lower body. But for a squat, you don't need to start with the barbell.
Okay.
Because for many people, that will be really, really heavy.
Okay.
So I always go with a goblet squat.
Okay, because even the bar itself, without any weight, is about how many kilos?
This is a standard male Olympic style. This is 20 kilos.
Okay.
For a female, they usually have a 15 kilo bar, sorry.
Got it. Okay, so even that by itself is already 20 kilos before you put the weights on.
Right.
Okay.
So I think for a beginner, if you there's four movement that they need to learn: a push, a pull, a squat, and a deadlift, and a hinge deadlift. So for a squat, just grab the dumbbell or any weights. Grab it like this. This is called a goblet squat. From here, what you want to do is that you want to find your heels. Find your heels, right? This is forefoot. See that?
Okay.
Find your heels, and then from there, you want to push your knees towards your toes.
Okay.
Find a stance that is most comfortable
So
for you.
your toes are about 45 degrees?
Usually, this is probably the most comfortable for most people. But some people have different mobilities and flexibilities.
And that's okay?
And that's okay.
All right.
Because basically, we are built different from each other. We have different structure. We have different pelvis structure. So some people might squat with a straight toe. Some people might, kind of open up. It's totally fine as long as it doesn't have any complaints.
Okay.
Right? So from there, find your heels, and then push your knees towards your toes, and it's okay for your knees to pass your toes.
So that's a myth then?
Yes, it's a myth.
Back in the day, they used to say, you always make sure your knees cannot extend past your toes.
That's outdated.
Okay.
You can even ask my dad about it.
Okay, all right.
He's an orthopedic surgeon, right?
Right.
And he also encouraged people to use all your toes. It's okay.
What was the belief then? They would say that you would hurt yourself, you would injure yourself, right? But it's not true then.
It is not true then. It is, so if you have some knee pain, then probably you have some kind of limitation. Whether you have some kind of limitation in your ankles, you have some kind of limitation on your hip. That's why sometimes, not sometimes, all the times, if a client come, we need to do assessment first. Because we need to check what kind of equipment or what kind of movement are suitable for this person.
Right. It's not a one-size-fits-all.
It's not a one-size-fits-all.
All right, so that's the example of the squat. You mentioned a few others. There's the push.
There's a hinge.
The hinge, yeah, okay. Deadlift. Why don't we do a hinge?
So a deadlift, I usually start with a body weight.
Okay.
I start with a body weight.
All right.
So first is to find your center of mass. So this idea, most people don't know. So your center of mass is the one that I'm talking about, finding your heel. So with the deadlift, you don't find your heel. You find your midfoot. You find your center of foot. Okay. From there, what you want to do is soften your knees, right? Don't lock up your knees.
Okay.
Soften your knees, and from here you want to, at the same time, your butt goes backward, your chest goes forward.
Okay.
So it's a horizontal movement like this.
Right.
So your hip doesn't drop down.
Okay.
So it's a different movement from a squat, where your squat is you going down.
Right. Straight down.
Straight down.
Right.
So squat is a vertical movement.
Right.
A hingy deadlift is basically a horizontal movement.
All right. And your hip there is acting like the hinge, basically. That's why it's a hinge.
It's like opening a door.
Right. Okay.
So those are the basics. And if you can do this properly, you should feel your glutes.
Okay. So a beginner would start this with a body weight, but once they start getting familiar, you can use several things, right? You can use a dumbbell, you can use a bar.
Whatever.
Okay. But basically, you would just be holding that in your hands, and you would do the same thing. Find your center of balance.
It's basically the same principle. So before we add weights or any kind of equipment, you need to, the basics needs to be strengthened.
Okay. So what are some of the common mistakes that people make usually as beginners, and how can they be avoided?
Right. The one I talked to you about earlier.
Yeah.
Every time I hear this a lot is that you want to arch your back or even have a straight spine like this when you're squatting or even when you're deadlifting.
Yes.
So that alone can cause you many problems, because I've handled so many clients, and 90% of them has this three pain. They have knee pain, they have lower back pain, and sometimes they have even shoulder pain.
Okay.
And that can be caused by those arching position like this.
Okay.
Because if you arch your back like this, this alone can put so much tension on your lower back.
Right.
And imagine when you're not doing anything, you already have tension on your lower back, and now you're trying to exercise, put more weight. So the weight goes
gets worse.
It gets worse.
My mom used to tell me this ever since I was a little kid. Jangan bongkok. It's Indonesian for like don't crouch.
Right.
So all my life I've been taught to do this,
Right.
and then added to that more outdated information at the gym, call it bro science, where people are always like, you have to always arch your back extra and stick your chest out.
Squeeze your shoulder blade together.
Yes, so that is completely outdated.
That's
That is not
completely
true information.
outdated.
It's causing more injuries we've
Yes.
discovered down the road.
Right.
Okay, so what other training techniques that are simple for beginners that they can try?
So we've discussed squats.
Yes.
We've discussed deadlift. We need to discuss push and a pull.
Yes.
So for the push, you can do horizontal push.
Okay.
Or vertical push.
Okay.
So
anything that's basically pushing the weight away from your body,
Right.
resistance away from
right.
your body.
The most simple one will be a push-up.
Okay.
Push-up something like this. Just go down.
Yes.
Press. But the thing is, when people do push-ups, they arch their back.
True. Yeah, because your hips tend to kind of drop a little bit, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
before we teach how to push up, we
Yeah.
usually teach them how to do plank first.
Okay.
Because basically, a push-up is a plank with
But
a movement.
static, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's it.
So what's the proper way to do a plank?
So this way, we don't want to stick our butt out like this, but we want to kind of scoop our butt in, and then you want to reach our shoulders forward. So this way, our abs are engaged.
Oh, so you're tightening your core, basically,
Right.
right? Like when you do a plank, you're always taught to kind of straighten. So it's okay to kind of hunch a little bit. Basically, it looks a little bit hunched, even.
It looks like a hunch, but
Right.
it's not actually.
Okay.
So hunch is something like this.
Yes.
But this is called scapular protection. So we're gonna just bring our shoulders forward instead of backwards.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, yeah.
That makes sense. All right. So one more. I believe we haven't covered pull.
Pull.
Right. Yes.
So
Okay.
a pull is basically anything that brings your elbows back.
Right,
So
the
you can
opposite.
you can do pull from above, pull from horizontal.
Okay.
But the thing is with the pull is that we have so many muscles on the back, right?
Yes.
So we have our Indo people will say it's sayap.
Sayap, yeah, or
Right?
lats, or wings.
Lats, wings, lats, those kind of stuff. We have lats, we have rear deltoid, the
Yes.
one that usually like when they use tank top.
Yes,
right?
correct.
So we can differentiate which muscle we need to focus on based on our elbow.
Oh, okay. How so?
So if we pull our back, bring our elbows back like this, we will feel our rear delts.
Correct.
Or our upper back around here.
Yes.
But if we squeeze our shoulder down, not back, just down. So imagine you want to elbow someone around here.
Yeah.
Imagine someone want to try to grab your phone around here and
Yeah.
you want to smack your elbow to his face. Bam. So it's not driving it back, but down. You should feel the sensation around here
do.
instead of around here.
Right.
So with that information, you can use so many kinds of machine or equipment and you can hit different muscle groups on
Okay.
your back.
Okay.
But with the beginners at home, you can just do bend over and just do a row.
Bent over
just
rows.
pull.
Okay.
With the pull, you can choose which one you want to train, the lats or the rear delts.
Also, using a bent over row, depending on how you pull your elbow back, it can work different parts.
Right. But before you can do a bend over row,
Yeah.
you need to be able to do this movement first.
Right.
Which is the deadlift
Back
and
to
the
the hinge.
So that's why I usually train lower body first before I train upper body.
Okay.
Because if you can do squats and deadlift without no complaints, the upper body should be very, very easy.
There you go. Take note, guys, especially guys, because I see guys working on their
Right.
upper body way too much and
Way
not
too
enough
much.
on their legs. Women don't have that problem because women will
Right,
give 50-50 to everything, in fact, more on the
Right.
legs. Now, I want to touch on one more thing that has recently kind of gone viral on the
Yep.
internet, which is a fitness trainer and a bodybuilder in Bali had recently died due
Right.
to an accident. And this is, I mean, it's such a freak accident. He basically did squats without the safety bars in place, and the weight was 210 kilos, and he ended up dying later on the hospital post-surgery. This had actually caught the fitness world by storm, and many people are now asking about, because a lot of people are now scared to do squats.
Right.
And people shouldn't be scared to do exercise, but what are some of the things that we need to remember for beginners from a safety perspective, not just squats, but in general?
In general,
What do we need to know?
so if you're doing a barbell back squat like that,
Yeah.
you always, if your gym equipment has a squat rack with a safety arms, use it. Always use it.
They're always there. the safety bars are always there, right?
It depends on the gym.
Okay.
Not many gym have them.
Oh, I see.
Not many gym. Only probably last 5 years.
The newer gyms.
The newer gym.
Okay,
Back
so
in my 2010, they don't have it.
Really?
They don't have
That's
it.
scary.
So that's why it's kind of scary for people to push close to failure, right?
Right.
Because they might die because
Okay.
they don't know how to bail. But if you know how to bail, just squat down in here and just drop it back.
Yeah, drop it behind you, right?
Drop it behind you.
Okay.
That will be the safest thing to do.
Okay.
Because if you see a professional Olympic weightlifter, they squatted almost over a quarter ton. And they never have any spotter. They never have any safety arm. They just drop it.
Because they know what to do if they can't handle the weight.
Right. So for beginners, they need to learn how to bail out.
Right.
So that's the main idea.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if you know the safety tips, that it makes you less fearful.
Yeah.
And if you are still worried and you don't have any safeties in place, for example, if you do a bar bench press,
Right.
you don't have safety hooks in place because it's just not how it works.
Right.
Then you can have a spotter.
Sure.
What do you need to know when you ask the help of somebody else?
Try to communicate with them.
Okay.
So ask them if you're doing bench press, try to not to touch the bar.
Okay. Okay.
So because if they touch the bar too early, you might end up he's working.
right.
The sport is trying to helping you so much.
You're not actually getting the workout you're supposed to get.
So that's one. And if you're doing bench press, my tip is not use any clips. So if you fail here, you can just kind of
wiggle your way
wiggle
out
around
and drop the
the press
weights
gonna
one at a
drop,
time.
and you're safe.
Okay, this is also counterintuitive because people
Right.
think, oh, I'm using a heavier weight, I better lock it in. But that's
Right.
actually harder because I've seen that video on internet as well where somebody dropped it and they couldn't get it
They
out
couldn't
because
get it.
it's locked in.
Right.
Oh, okay.
It happened to me as well, so many times.
Yeah.
I've failed so many times.
Okay.
I failed so many times. I even felt it 120 kilo slips from my hand to my chest. Doesn't hurt. It feels horrible.
Okay,
You
yeah.
just wing it and you're good.
Definitely. So before we wrap up here, you've also brought a couple of pieces of equipment that
Right.
people may not be familiar with. What is this and what are those blocks used for as well?
So usually this blocks usually used for yogas,
okay, yes, I've seen that before. Yoga
right?
blocks.
But I usually use this for someone that has a limited mobility, limited hip mobility.
How does that
So
help?
this one as well.
Yeah.
So let's say for a squat, and not many people can go ass to grass like this with their barefoot.
Oh,
Right?
I see, okay.
So you can use this to increase kind of fake their ankle mobility. See?
Oh,
like
right. Oh, because some people can't have that angle, like the ankle
Right.
go all the way.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
all right.
one. And number two is that many people squat with most of their tension, most of their weights on outside, around
Yes?
here.
Yes?
But it should be around inside.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that either.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so we use this to squeeze between their knees.
Oh, no way. Okay.
So now you have even surface on your flat foot, on your foot.
Right. That
Now,
makes sense.
now you can use more of this adductor muscles, your
Right.
inner thigh muscle, and just squat down.
So it's actually okay to kind of push your knees in. It's not.
It's
not a
okay.
bad thing.
It's okay. It's
Another
also a
myth,
myth. It's also a myth. So basically, what happened is that this is the stuff that I learned from the last 2 years is that your knees caving in because your hips lacks of mobility.
Right.
That's
Okay,
it.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. So it's not by, people are by intuition just needs to push them out, right?
Yes.
It's basically counterproductive.
Right.
So here's the thing: when we squat, we want to push the ground,
Yeah.
right? And in order for us to produce force, we need to press the inner part, not the outer part.
Okay.
Because if we push our knees out, the force goes to our side.
And you're not going straight, right? You'll be going in all different directions.
You're basically going to the side.
Right.
What you need to do is going down. So
Makes
it's basically
sense.
it's a push.
Makes
when you
sense.
push, you need to use the inner
Okay.
part. So with that alone, you can have more quads,
Yeah.
less knee pain,
Oh, wow.
and and you have better mechanics. And
Right.
one that I talked to you about is that with this, by squeezing the yoga blocks, it is gonna be harder for you to arch your lower back.
Oh, right. Because okay, that makes sense. Yeah. You have to do it. If you have to do it, then I can feel it now that I'm actually doing it, even without the block. Okay. So this is a very important piece of equipment that many people are not familiar with. And why is this important? Could you explain?
This is called a foam roller.
Yes.
Usually people use this foam rolling before training.
Is it supposed to be done before or after?
You can do them before.
Okay.
But I usually use this to improve mobility.
How so?
Here's the thing. Our rib cage is kind of like a cylinder,
Yes.
right? If we train too much, we breathe so much, our rib cage becomes flat like this.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay.
So, and then our ribs kind of expanded to the side.
Ooh, okay. This is gradually happening over time, progressively. Really? Okay.
And then your back, your thoracic curve flatten up.
Okay.
That your scaps cannot move.
Right.
And causing some shoulder pains. So what I do is that I lie down the floor, I put the foam roller between my armpit and my lower back, around here. So put it here, and then just breathe.
So you're not actually you don't have to move.
No.
You just breathe in that position.
Just breathe, inhale for 5 seconds, exhale for 5 to 10 seconds, and just breathe. If you do it correctly, you will feel your rib cage kind of flatten up a bit.
Oh, so you can actually reverse it.
Yeah.
And how often should you do this? Like when should you?
You can do it like 3 times a day, even daily.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Sure.
Okay.
So this is a very, very useful tool if we know how to use it.
And how long do you do this for?
Just five breathings and then 3
then
sets
switch
of that.
sides.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
So this will improve your shoulder mobility just by itself.
Really? Okay, I need that.
Just by breathing.
Okay.
So yeah.
I get shoulder pain sometimes. That's why I need to do this as well. All right. Any other tips for beginners before they get started on their fitness journey in weightlifting?
My tip, if you wanna have the fastest result, is to choose a good coach.
Okay.
That will be the best investment.
How do you know what a good coach is?
Uh,
Because there's personal trainers everywhere. Everyone's a
Right.
personal trainer these days.
If they're selling a weight loss program, like if you coach by me, I can give you 10 kilos drop in 1 week. That's
Yeah.
a red flag.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a
a
red
bit
flag.
too fast.
That's a red flag.
Okay.
So, and then if a coach tells you to eat so little at the very first time, that's also a red flag.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because these are the type of coaches that are trying to show you quick results so that you kind of
Right.
stick with them, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Not only that, but it also good for their profile. Like, oh,
Yeah.
if you follow me, then I give you this result. But the thing is, not many people can do it, and not one size fits all.
Right.
So every person has their own custom exercises, has their
Okay.
own custom diets. And
Yeah.
whatnot.
Find one that can kind of help you meet your goals in a realistic time way, in a realistic way.
Right.
All right, Nick, thank you so much for
Thank you.
bringing all your equipment by, but
Sure.
most importantly, talking about some of the ins and outs and safeties for weightlifting for beginners. And drop by anytime.
Sure.
Should have
Thank
a
you for
workout
having me.
together. All right, we're going to take another short break here on the program, everyone. But in case you joined us a little bit late, we will recap some of our earlier stories from around the world when we return.